Find a pair of binomial expressions from the 6 choices below to fit one of 3 categories. Either the pairs are equals, opposites, or neither. Drag one at a time to create pairs for each category until the boxes are filled. Alright, equivalence. Let's start with x plus 3. What's the equivalent to x plus 3? 3 plus x. They have the same sign, they're just switched places. Alright, another equivalent would be negative x plus 3 and 3 minus x. Once again, these are just swapped places. Alright, opposites. So we have x plus 3. Where's the opposite? Negative x minus 3. There we go. If you add these together, x plus 3 minus x minus 3, you get 0. Alright, another example would be negative x plus 3 would be positive x minus 3. So once again, these would cancel out to 0. Neither. Alright, let's see. X plus 3 and x minus 3. Those are neither equivalents nor opposites. And let's see. X minus 3 and negative x minus 3. Those are not equivalents or opposites. Identifying opposites is a skill to develop. Two expressions are opposites if their sum is 0. It follows that A and B are opposites if and only if A plus B equals 0. Here's some practice. True or false? Negative 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 3 are opposites. Well, the negative 2x and the 2x would cancel out, negative 3 and 3 would cancel out, so this is true. Next, we have negative 5a plus 3 and 5a minus 3 are opposites. Well, negative 5a and 5a would cancel, and 3 and negative 3 would also cancel out. So, yes, these are opposites. Moving on, we have 2x minus 9y and 2x plus 9y. Are those opposites? Well, the 9y's would cancel out, negative 9y and positive 9y, but this 2x and that 2x would just add together and make 4x. So these are not opposites. And finally, we have 2m squared minus 3mn squared and negative 2m squared plus 3mn squared. Are those opposites? 2m squared and negative 2m squared do cancel. And 3mn squared minus 3mn squared also cancel. So this is true. They are opposites. Identifying opposites is an important skill. Beyond this, rewriting an expression by leveraging opposites will prove beneficial when factoring. Here's some practice. True or false? Well, let's go through this. Negative 2x minus 5 equals negative 2x plus 5. Well, this negative sign was just distributed out of here. So if we were to multiply it back in, that would be negative 2x minus 5, which is this. So yes, those are equivalent. Here, we have 2x minus 9y equals negative 2x plus 9y. This is not true. Those are not equal because this is 2x, and when you distribute out this negative sign, that would swap the signs in here. And while that did swap this sign, this would become negative 2x. So this one is false. Alright, we have negative 5ab plus 3 equals negative 5ab minus 3. So we took this, we distribute out this negative sign, which would swap both of the signs of these terms. This negative 5ab would become positive, which it is, and this positive 3 would become negative, which it is. So this is correct. And finally, we have 2m squared minus 3mn squared equals negative m times negative 2m plus 3n squared. So we took out not only a negative sign from this side, but we took out an m. So let's see if that was done correctly. So if we multiply this out, we get negative m times negative 2m, which gives us positive 2m squared, and then minus m times 3n squared gives us negative 3mn squared. So you can see that this is equivalent to that, and this is true. So you don't only have to just take out a negative sign here, you can also factor out the greatest common factor, which included this m. So that was true. Identifying opposites in a factoring problem allows you to complete the factoring. Here are two worked examples. Example A, factor m squared minus 6m plus 12n minus 2mn. In this case, we grouped it 2 by 2, so we just put in parentheses here and here. Then we found the greatest common factor and factored those out, and we were left with m minus 6 and 6 minus m. What we usually like to see are the same binomial in each side, but we see that this is the opposite of what we want. So in order to change it around a bit so that it'll work, we just change this sign. We take out a negative sign from here, and that swaps the signs of these pieces, and all of a sudden we are left with an m minus 6 and an m minus 6. We can factor that out, put it out front, and we're left with m minus 2n. We do the same exact thing down here. We want to factor ab minus 4b plus 24 minus 6a. We group them 2 by 2, like so. Then we factor out the greatest common factor from each, and we have an a minus 4 and a 4 minus a. Now, if we didn't know about opposites, we might be stuck here, but luckily, we know about how to find opposites. So we have this 4 minus a, so let's take a negative sign out of this, put it out front, and then swap the signs. This 4 becomes negative, this negative a becomes positive, and we now have a minus 4 and a minus 4 in each term, so we can factor that out front, and we are left with b minus 6 right there. Use grouping to factor 6xy minus 8x minus 15y plus 20. All right, so we're going to group it 2 by 2. I'm going to rewrite it over here so I have a little more room to work. Minus 8x, and then we have plus negative 15y plus 20. Now we want to make this a negative. We'll move this negative outside of the parentheses, so that will become 6xy minus 8x minus 15y minus 20. Now let's take out the greatest common factor. Here that would be 2x, and that leaves us with 3y minus 4 minus the greatest common factor here is 5, and that leaves us with 3y minus 4. And look, we have a 3y minus 4 here, a 3y minus 4 there. Therefore, we can factor that out, put it in the front, and whatever's left, we'll multiply here. 2x minus 5. And there we go. Use grouping to factor x squared minus 6x plus 18y minus 3xy. All right, here we are also going to group 2 by 2. And so I'm going to rewrite this over here. X squared minus 6x plus 18y minus 3xy. We're going to factor out the greatest common factors. In this one, that is x, and that leaves us with x minus 6 plus the greatest common factor here is 3y, and that leaves us with 6 minus x. And look, those are opposites. So remember, we can't do anything with this. However, if we move the signs around here, we can then use our same method from above. So in order to do that, we'll take out a negative sign, and that will swap all the signs. So we have that minus 3y, and then we'll just do the opposite here, which that becomes x minus 6. Now we have an x minus 6 here, an x minus 6 there. So we'll factor that out, put it in the front, and multiply it by whatever's left, x minus 3y.